Hello and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to cover the March 6th, Tuesday, Daily Fantasy NHL slate. DJ, it was a long week without you. How was your week? Anything exciting going on? And how the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I guess I'll just start with the big notes. I was in Florida. I went to a Tampa Bay Lightning game. The Buffalo Sabres, of course, won as everyone expected. Vegas only had it as like the biggest underdog ever. Tampa was unreal. That arena's amazing. The bar Fergs right outside the arena, outdoors, live music, unbelievable. I would definitely go again. I don't care who they're playing. I would go again, although maybe hopefully the actual Tampa Bay Lightning come out and play other than whoever was out there against the Sabres. Did you watch any of that game? Because they
Oh, I
played like
did.
Tampa played
That
bad.
was,
Like
yeah. There was
oof,
no Kucherov that game, right?
no Kucherov.
Yeah,
Of
so
course. I wanted to watch Kucherov so
I,
bad. I'm
I
like,
know that actually does suck, but
yeah,
I
whatever.
hear you.
I'm not even that mad because the Sabres won and I was around some Sabres fans. I mean, it was pretty there was definitely more Lightning fans there, but like there was a good number of Sabres fans. So it was nice to
Right.
celebrate. Went to the bars at a couple bars after and the bar Hat Tricks was pretty cool too. Tampa
Nice.
was awesome.
Dude, it was
Also, oh,
so
sorry.
sick. It's so sick. Like I
What?
love Tampa so much.
Yeah, I know. And then, I mean, hopefully I end up going to Nashville, but that's for some college basketball related things that no one wants to hear about. Um, Other important notes were I kind of adopted a dog.
That that is quite the week.
Well, my girlfriend did, but right now I have it because the dog at her house doesn't like dogs that much. So she's snoring. If you listen really closely, maybe you can hear it. I
Yes.
put the microphone closer to her, but I'm sure she wouldn't like that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, quite the week for DJ. I ran a couple solo episodes, so not really didn't really talk too much about the trade deadline. I kind of wanted to save that for when the two of us were back together. So I have the trades up from at and around the deadline. Let's see. Not really sure how to. I guess we can just go like in order as the day or as the weekend went, right? Because
Yeah.
pretty much. Let's see. Let's start with the man. You know what? Nick Holden doesn't matter. I don't.
No.
I'm not worried about that. Mrazek went to Detroit or from Detroit to
Yeah.
Philly. Yeah, that's that happened.
I mean, it
Probably
doesn't really. Yeah, I was gonna say it
probably
doesn't mean that much in DFS though. Like, if you're
yeah.
gonna play Mrazek, you probably would have played Elliott in the same. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter. So,
Yeah.
okay, go on
For
though.
sure. So like I guess for Toronto to Florida was interesting.
Yeah,
he's not cracked the NHL lineup though, which kind of sucks because you think with all the injuries we'll talk about with Florida, they can't really find a top six winger. You might have thought he would have gotten a chance, but he's not
are you
there.
saying Jamie McGinn is not a top six winger?
So probably the first real trade that we have of the deadline was Michael Grabner from the Devils to the Rangers. I mean, that was
Well, you went backwards again. He went from the Rangers to the Devils.
did I not say that?
No, you definitely said Devils to the Rangers.
Okay, all right.
Well, listen back. If I'm wrong, tweet DJ's a moron
I
hashtag.
mean, we kind of knew
Matt's
that, but
nah, just
yeah, I
tweet that
mean,
anyways.
second rounder for a guy who scores all the empty net goals. Sucks
I
for
mean,
Taylor Hall's MVP candidacy
okay.
because he's going to steal
All
all of them.
All I'm gonna say is there's like a reason I feel like why is Grabner always on the ice in those situations? Like he also plays penalty kill time, and like I just feel like I never really thought of him that way until you really look at his stats and you're like, wow, he scores a lot of empty net goals, but like he must have some sort of defensive like ability to be out there. I think it's a fine trade. I'm not mad about the trade. I don't think it means that much in DFS. Like I'd never really play him anyways. He's just always kind of priced up, but yeah, like I'm not mad about the trade if I was a Devils fan.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. I think it was interesting that he basically fetched a second and a prospect. I mean,
Yeah.
Vander Kane basically got the same return.
Oh, we'll get to
Was
that.
yeah, we'll talk about that. But I thought that was interesting, like that Michael Grabner fetched what ended up being a relatively hefty return. But I
Yeah.
think the big trade of the weekend, Derek Brassard from Ottawa to the Penguins. Like, I mean, we've seen a multitude of games now. Also in the deal, which I thought was interesting, was Vincent Dunn, who is not the same Vince Dunn
Yeah.
who
Oh
we all
yeah.
know and love. So for some reason, I got really scared when I saw that because I saw a three-team trade and I saw that Vince Dunn was traded, and I
I
was
was
like, oh my God, like Pittsburgh, like I was dead, and then I realized that it was a different one. So
Yeah, that was really confusing. I had to look it up, and Vincent Dunn, this one, doesn't seem like a great NHL prospect by any means, but you never do know, you know? I mean, someone saw something in the kid.
yeah, it was
So,
probably just a contracts thing, getting different contracts
yeah,
off the book. But so yeah, we've seen Broussard slot right in alongside Phil Kessel playing second power play. Um, I mean, as far as daily fantasy goes, it's tough to go from a first line center to a third line center and still maintain relevancy. But Broussard has really done it. I mean, he's playing, not only is he playing with Kessel and on the second unit power play, but like in overtime, both of the games that they've gone to overtime since then, Broussard and Crosby have started. So like it's just one of those things where they're kind of using him a little bit in every situation. So that's nice to see, on such a dynamic team on small slates. I think stacking up like Broussard and Kessel is going to be pretty fun. No other DFS relevant things happened there. Ryan Reaves went to Vegas, which concludes maybe the weirdest saga of the offseason when the Penguins traded a first for Ryan Reaves.
made
Like,
no sense.
what the hell? Like, whatever.
Uh,
They were like, we don't need this draft pick. Just
yeah,
give it away.
it was a confusing, but I mean, I just don't understand why the Knights went out and got Ryan Reeves. But sure,
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
just wanted to
Like,
get involved, I guess. I mean,
yeah, they
I
wanted
don't
to make
really
a trade.
Yes. Okay. And then the Rick Nash trade is probably next,
Oh
which
man, that was
was
interesting.
so I have a theory that I've been forming that
Okay.
if you acquire a player in your division, everyone kind of goes along with you got a player in your division, you probably paid more for it, right? Because like trading in division is more like, I don't know, like not
Real
what
quick,
teams
DJ.
do.
Real quick, DJ.
What?
Boston is in what division?
Okay. Well, they're not in the same division, but they play
Okay,
each other enough.
conference. Okay,
Conference.
conference.
Yeah, we'll
Yes,
just say in conference. You're right. They're not in the same division, but they play. Yeah, you're right. Mainly in the same
understood.
conference. You're right. So same conference. People normally pay a heavier price, but like, wouldn't you think I should try to rip off teams that I'm going to play more in my conference? Really, and it was a new playoff format. Yeah, like in the same conference. Like that's why everyone was saying that Vegas put that deal through for the Brassard because they didn't want Brassard to go to Winnipeg, who they play more. But you
Yeah,
see what I mean? Like, but I
yeah,
still don't get the Nash trade at all from the perspective of Boston. I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
you're really going all in, but
yeah, I think it's easy to like say like, yeah, I really like the Rangers haul here. I don't hate that Boston gave up Ryan Spooner for like Nash along with that first rounder. Like I do think Nash is like a really, really good player still. But it does strike me as a little bit strange why they pulled the trigger so early. Like
yeah,
with a few of the names out there, you would have thought that, if you've worked a little bit longer, how much more did you need to add to, Spooner, a first, another pick to pry someone like
both.
Pacioretty or Hoffman?
Well,
Yeah, I don't know, but it
how much
seems
equity did Boston have to give up Matt Bolevsky in this deal as well?
that's true. I
Like,
mean,
I mean that's probably where you get that first round pick from. Like
mhm.
adding in, and Matt Bolevsky's contract is a train wreck.
How
Getting
many
rid of
more?
that
Do you know,
is
do you know how many more years he has on it off the
I
top of your
think it's 3, but
I'll look it up. But yeah, it's an albatross for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think from the perspective of long term for the Rangers and short term for the Bruins, I think that was a pretty decent trade. But that did get a lot of hopes up for the rest of the day. Moving on, we have a three-team trade with Aberg, with Testu, and then Nashville, like basically getting a pick for giving up Aberg. So that was, I don't know. We've seen Aberg play with, I think, in the top six in Edmonton. So there's a little bit of relevancy there. I don't really know much about Pontus Aberg as much as he played for the Predators. He was always a guy I literally just never even paid attention to.
no, neither.
So interesting there. Ian Cole to the Blue Jackets. That's whatever.
No idea.
Ryan Hartman
Yeah.
to the Predators. Like, okay, we're
Sure.
talking now, right? Like,
I was just I think they gave up a bit too much, but I mean it's not so bad. If Nashville does go and win the cup this year, I mean I mean
yeah, I
that's
mean,
what you're thinking in Nashville right now. Like you are going to win the cup or if you don't win the cup, the season was a failure. So giving up that first round pick, I don't think is that big of a deal. I mean, how many picks in the last 5 or 6 of the first round actually pan out? Normally, you're kind of just taking a swing. I'm not too mad about it. I think Cartman's a good enough player that it's worth it, but he's not that good. I mean, he has 27 points this year. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I do find it a pretty significant upgrade to like someone like Pontus Aberg. Like Hartman, for all of his like DFS, I think he has like one of the better iCourse per 60s even now. But like in general, he has pretty good impacts wherever he plays on the ice. He never really seemed to be one of Quenneville's favorites. Maybe, in a bottom 6 winger for Nashville, they weren't really loaded with him. So it makes a little bit of sense, the 30th pick for a guy who's a little bit of a project. I think if Nashville loses in the first round, that'll really come back to haunt them. But I don't see that happening. Spoiler alert. So
for sure.
I thought that was interesting. But all right, probably the big trade, daily fantasy wise, at least that we will talk about on this slate, is Paul Stastny. Yes. The Blues just giving up on the season, going like, "Hey, you want Paul Stastny?" And the Jets are like, "Okay, yeah, we'll take him." And he's found a home. First power play for Winnipeg, and playing alongside Laine and Nick Ehlers. Like, what an insane second line to have.
It's been like, honestly, they're 3 lines deep for sure. Mm-hmm. With little Parento and Roslovic as well.
You said Parento.
Oh my god, I did. I was about to say no, I didn't, and then I like looked at his name again, and I was like, wait, I really think I did not say pro. That's a throwback. I've been doing so good this year. Okay, yeah. But anyways, Paul Stastny, back to him, is a UFA after this year. So I mean, it's kind of a rental, but it's a pretty good rental, and I think for the Blues, and it kind of feels to me like Stastny could end up going back as well. So I think this is a good deal for them. Although this is kind of giving up on the season, and I think it's kind of weird to do. But I don't think that they Winnipeg didn't give up a ton if they're going all in this year. Although I think that they have a young enough core that they have a few years left on it. But yeah, I think just the trade in general is pretty even. The daily fantasy relevance is definitely like to consider Stastny. But like, what do you think of his shot upside with 2 pretty heavy shooters with Laine and Ehlers on the wings?
I mean, we're definitely seeing his price go up because he's been playing really well. Personally, I'm not that concerned by it just because he's on that first power play. If that were to change, I would obviously have a huge concern. But when you're on the ice with someone like Wheeler and Scheifele, both of them, especially on the power play, they're looking to feed the puck through that kind of behind the net area. Stastny kind of sets up either in front of the net or like along the baseline, the goal line. And so he's getting a lot of assist looks that way. He's getting a lot of, jam it kind of plays. And it's not like Nick Ehlers is like a shot first guy. Like he's going to go down the ice 5-on-5 and look for passes. So if Stastny just continues to play well, I think he should be in a really good spot. Like DFS wise, I'm not that concerned about his lack of shooting floor just because the players he's playing with are so spectacular.
Okay. Do you want to move on to, I guess, Patrick Maroon, I think would be the next thing to kind of know, although I don't think it's really, now Patrick Maroon just kind of Maroon isn't very relevant in my opinion at all. Like,
right.
If he's not with McDavid, like his price is going to continue to dip. I think 401 is still, it's okay, but I'm not going to pay it.
Right. Yeah. They were, you're looking at last game, right?
Last couple. He's playing decentish minutes for New Jersey, but
okay, yeah, no, I didn't realize he was on the 4th line his first game there.
Yeah, his first game, but that's kind of getting. Yeah, he's playing with Zajac and Grabner. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Did he not get? No, we got second power play. Oh, kind of first power play. The power play.
Last game he was first power play.
Yeah, he's there. I don't think. I think 4-1 is kind of where his price is going to be at. Him and Grabner both at the same kind of price range. I'm not that interested in it personally, but I think it was a good deal for the Devils. They're good enough to make the playoffs. I don't know. You didn't really give up a lot, 2019 third round pick and some guy I'd never heard of.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, it kind of comes down to like, God forbid, you know, Palmieri get hurt, like, or something like
Yeah,
that. Like, you have a guy who's, well equipped to play alongside a superstar like that. And, we know Maroon's not going to drive the play or anything, but he's not going to miss a step. And when you're, pushing for the playoffs, like giving up a, third rounder it was, right?
it was next year third, not this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically a fourth if you use the common rule of thumb. I think that's a pretty solid move.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other, we have Evander Kane to San Jose.
That has really given them a boost. I feel like that line has been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Kane has been really good there. Personally, I'm rooting for him to keep that up the entire time, because if the Sabres get a first next year, who knows? I mean,
that's the only reason why I'm not too mad about the deal for Buffalo. I mean, at first I was pretty mad, but honestly, a conditional first round pick, if Kane really lights it up, San Jose fans are going to be pretty mad if they just let this guy walk. I mean, it becomes the first. Also, I mean, the other condition is that if San Jose wins the cup, which is a very big long shot, and then I mean, you can't rule it completely out. I mean, I feel like people ruled out Nashville last year going into round one against Chicago, and they ended up making it. I mean, I doubt it, but you never know. But if Kane resigns in San Jose, I mean, yeah, like that's a first round pick, and San Jose is that team that the bubble could burst at any minute. Next year they come into the year and Pavelski and Couture go down, or Burns, or
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's like they are hurting, and that could be a really nice pick for Buffalo in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know what Kane's going to bring to them, and that's pretty exciting because we know they've struggled to, kind of find guys that will produce. They've moved, like, obviously Timo Meyer and Kevin Labanc are good players, but like Jonas Donskoy and even, I mean, heck, Tierney's been getting a ton of minutes. I think he's playing center now, but like it is kind of like, hey, they fill the need with a guy who seems to fit their team pretty well. Like, blazing speed, but he's also like a really good power forward. So excited to see what he does there.
Yeah, he's in the power play one with Pavelski.
That is shocking to me. I'll be honest. Yeah. Like it's great for him, but I mean, heck, in Buffalo, he was like the seventh option on the power play. Like,
which
even when
even
when Eichel went down, he was not on the first power play. So it was kind of crazy.
Never understood it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that sold on his puck skills in general. I think he's really, I think he's a really good north-south guy, but I don't know about him. I don't want him standing stationary with the puck, I'll be honest. So,
but
I guess, yeah.
You're done? I'm sorry.
No, we can move on.
Thomas Tatar.
Yeah, you were kind of up against it.
I'm not into it. I was not into it.
I like it. I really do like it for Vegas.
All right. I'm not that frustrated with it because at first I thought I read that it was a 2019 first round pick, but it's a 2018 first round pick. So I mean that's not going to be towards the top. Vegas is going to make the playoffs. I do feel like they're obviously a candidate for a round one exit, considering it's a team that really isn't, I don't think, built for the playoffs. But you never know. I mean, this team's surprised at every turn this season, and at a historic season for a team coming into the league. So you never know if they can make it to a couple rounds. The 2019 second and 2021 third. I mean, who knows what that's going to be in 2021, but I don't know. I feel like it's an awful lot for Thomas Tatar. I think that's a really fair deal if they got Tatar and Green, but I don't know. I think it's a really good return for the Red Wings.
So to me, like, Thomas Tatar is firmly a top six winger. Like, I don't see any argument against that. I don't think I have either. And it's not like the Knights are tight on cap space. They have room to spend. Like, where else are you going to find quality top six players for basically what amounts to a first, a third, and whatever the heck 2021 would equal out, a sixth if you push it back a year in terms of like the time value of money kind of principles. Like, that's really what Vegas did, is they said, hey, here's our first rounder, give us a guy who can help us win in the playoffs. And I don't see how Tatar hinders them at all. I think he's a pretty big lift to that team in general. and I just think he's a really solid player. So I'm excited to see him kind of down the stretch and see if he can make me feel good about that, because I kind of went out on a limb right away. But all right, any more trades before just the
Well,
Wowza trade?
no, I think it really comes down to the Wowza trade.
Yeah, so Ryan McDonough, JT Miller to Tampa for Nemestikov, basically what, a early second rounder and a late first rounder in Hajic and Howden, a first rounder, and then another second rounder, which I believe comes up first if Tampa wins the Cup in 2018 or 2019. Did I get that right? The
I
conditional.
think that yeah, it says 2019 conditional first round pick. But it
Okay.
is a first if they win the cup.
Yeah, it's a second if they don't. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is crazy.
That's
McDonough signed for, yeah, that two, 1.5 seasons now. Like, that's Tampa's just a freaking juggernaut now.
yeah.
Like, oh my god.
I mean, there's two giant question mark prospects that come in this trade back to the Rangers. I have no idea. I know both of them are second round picks. I don't know exactly how to say his name. Libor, is it
Hi,
Hajek?
he
Hajek?
Jick, yeah, probably.
He was like an earlier second round pick defenseman. I no idea though. Like, it's not like either of these guys. People are like, oh, this guy though is what a crazy prospect they got. He played in the World Juniors. He had 8 points in 7 games. Like, who knows? Obviously, with like, it's so hard to project defensemen. I think coming into the NHL, especially a second round pick, maybe the Rangers saw something in one of these guys and they had to have them. And this trade maybe isn't quite as bad, but I don't think they quite got the value you'd expect out of your captain and Ryan McDonough. And if it was just McDonough and not JT Miller as well, I think I'd be a bit more on board. But I mean, JT Miller and Nemestikov, I don't think are that much different as players. Both of them, 24-ish. I think they're both right around
Right.
there.
Yeah,
JT
yeah.
Miller, former first round pick. I think Nemestikov was not a first round pick.
I'm not sure. I think he's like
No, he was a late first round pick.
okay.
Okay. I think they're pretty comparable in many aspects. The Mestikov's contract could become a problem in the future with arbitration and whatnot. It's kind of a head scratcher for me. I would not have given up JT Miller to make this deal go through. I think I would have just kept McDonough, but I mean, if you're the Rangers,
Yeah,
you're kind
no,
of all in on the rebuild, and
right.
McDonough probably deserves to move on. So I'm not that mad about it. What do you think though?
What the hell was Kevin Shattenkirk thinking? Like, what did he see happening in New York that was like, yeah, I want to go there?
Well, what about Jimmy Vesey? I remember when he signed, we were like, oh boy, like I don't get that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, the rate. I mean, I just feel bad for Hendrik Lundqvist. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't want to go.
At some point, you just live your life, and it seems like he's living his best life. I'm sure he's.
But like, why did he go to the Islanders?
I'm sure he's gonna have no regrets when
he
he
went to the
retires.
Islanders. That's all I wanted. Just go to the Islanders.
So
the Islanders.
Yeah, that was a rundown of the trade deadline. Let's see. Oh man, I didn't keep track when we started. I was hoping to leave a little note saying like, "Hey, DFS starts here." But anyways, we will move over to the DFS, run through the 9-game slate pretty quickly. On Tuesday, we have on the docket Detroit at Boston, Montreal at New Jersey, Winnipeg at the Rangers, Vegas at Columbus, Florida at Tampa, Dallas at Nashville, Carolina at Minnesota, Colorado at Chicago, and Washington at Anaheim. So we've got 9 games here. A little bit. I think there's a little bit of news to take into account, but I think we pretty much know all of like the big news items outside of Roman Yossi, who we should get clarity like pre morning skate wise. Like, we were getting a lot of mixed signals the past 2 games. I think they'll be a little bit more upfront this time, given that it's a home game, and that's just kind of how teams tend to operate. They don't really want to mislead their fans at home, kind of thing. But let's start with Detroit at Boston. We mentioned Rick Nash, coming in on a Boston team that, yes, they're down Patrice Bergeron right now, but even so, like they're using Rick Nash in a huge role. First power play, first line. His shot numbers have been ridiculous lately. So I'm kind of looking at 6.5, thinking like I don't love it, but at the same time, like Boston's been playing pretty well lately, even without Bergeron. I don't I don't love a matchup with Detroit, but I also think that at home Boston should have no problem taking care of business against Detroit. So 6.5 for Nash, and where is Pasternak? There he is,
What?
6.7.
Oh, okay.
So like I don't know. How do you feel about these expensive wingers on Boston, knowing that basically the offense is going to be filtered through Marchand, Pasternak, Nash?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm probably not going to touch this game personally. Riley Nash centering Pasternak and Marchand. I think some people might consider pivoting there, and I wouldn't. Like, he's not getting. Is he getting any power play time? Or like
Who is that?
Riley Nash?
No, he
Yeah,
is not.
he did not get no power play time, and his price has gone way up. But I still think people are going to pivot there just because he's with those wingers. I'm not going to do that. I think Pasta as a one-off is fine. I think Rick Nash also as a one-off is fine. I don't really plan on stacking this game or this team. But those are kind of the only two I'm considering right now.
Sure. Yeah. The other noteworthy news is Charlie McAvoy has been ruled out here. That to me throws Torrey Krug into consideration, just because, like, yeah, his price hasn't really decreased at all for Krug, but kind of what kept me away from Krug in the past is that, like, we still don't know whether Krug's going to get the kind of game closing minutes if they're losing. Like, Krug is definitely an offensive defenseman, but I think that with McAvoy out, Krug's minutes should stay pretty high, even in games where they're leading throughout. I'm looking at last game, and he had 10 DraftKings points. Like, that was almost entirely because Montreal was clinging to a 1-0 lead for like the entire game, and so Boston was throwing everything they could at the net. I don't see 10 shots coming for Torrey Krug, but I also see that power play is like something that I really want to get a piece of here. So either, between Nash, Pasta, Krug, I can even see going David Backes, to be honest. Like, he's been relatively effective lately. I like him at the center position as well. Just getting that little bit of value for 4.7. But I think that's a really nice little power play stack. But yeah, I agree with you. I will not be touching Riley Nash at all.
No. Okay. Anything from Detroit? Because I probably wouldn't even consider it. Okay.
I don't.
That's very fair. Just want to move on to Montreal at New Jersey then.
Sure. Yep.
Another game. I'm really not that interested in this one either. There's a ton of value on Montreal if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not. With Pacioretty out. Pacioretty's out for how long again?
6 to 8 weeks. He's done for the year, I think.
Could be the year. Yeah. The lines yesterday's practice were Galchenyuk, Drouin, Gallagher. Sherbak, Danault, Lehkonen, and a bunch of guys that aren't very good at hockey. Their defense was missing Schlemko, which I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Ben Petrie, Riley Baliv, Alsner, and Jolison.
Yeah, Juleson.
Sure. I think he was their first round pick recently-ish. Okay, but what do you think about all the stuff I just said?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, like, value-wise, that I'm all that interested in attacking any of it. It looks like from the last game that we have with no Pacioretty, which was against Boston, the first power play looked mainly like Drouin, Gallagher, Galchenyuk, Petrie with Paul Byron. That's not that intriguing to me. I think Jeff Petrie, though, at sub 5,000 is a nice play, like just as a one-off. He's been, he hasn't had strong games in each of his last two, but the minutes are still there. The price has fallen. I don't think there's any like underlying injury or anything like that that would be hampering his results. So that's the main guy I think on Montreal. But for the New Jersey side, Taylor Hall is at now 25 straight games with a point.
He's pretty good.
This is ridiculous at this point.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have like on the slate we have Kucherov, Ovi, but I mean Taylor Hall's played his way right into consideration alongside those names. So
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
I agree.
if I had a crystal ball and could tell you who was putting up the 3 point night, I would definitely say that. But Taylor Hall seems to me like he's going underowned on virtually every slate, and he's so dynamic that I see him viable as a one-off, viable in stacks, like you know, just a really really strong play.
Yeah, I mean, him and
Obviously,
Palmieri are back on the same power play. It's definitely worth consideration, I'd say, on the slate. I'm not sure how in love I am with stacking against Montreal. I feel like they've kind of been slowing pace a decent clip. Um, but then again, they have so many young guys out there that you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I think that there is always potential for them to kind of blow up in a game and just get destroyed, especially if Niemi is in net. Uh,
mm,
he's like the one goalie that I would consider going after. And Carey Price will not play. Let me look. He will not start for the next few games. I'm pretty sure, right? Not that he's been good this year. He's actually been very bad, but still.
right.
So you never know who's going to start for them. Probably Lindgren. I don't know. I'm not opposed to that stack though. Paul, Mary, and Hall. I almost said like Paul as like one person, and then I was
Yeah,
like Mary.
yeah. We mentioned Pat Maroon as well. He's on that first power play,
Yeah,
so 4.1 I think is
yeah,
perfectly reasonable. Playing,
yeah. Like
in the top six.
it's fine. It's like I at first I just haven't really I didn't play much in Florida because I was in Florida and I didn't really want to like sit on my laptop and not in the sun. So I kind of thought Maroon would still be expensive, and I thought 4-1. I'm like that's actually not that bad.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
I don't think he's a great shot producer by any means, but like he's okay. And he's on the first power play with those two. I think it's worth considering. But do you want to just move over to Winnipeg at the Rangers?
Sure. Yeah, we have Winnipeg who's coming in. I mean, I guess they've always been rather scorching hot, but their goal totals as of late are kind of ridiculous.
Don't you
Four,
just?
4, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3. Like they're just so consistent.
I just want to be a Winnipeg fan so bad.
I
Like
know,
why
right?
why am I not a Winnipeg fan? It's so stupid. They're so good. Oh my god. Yeah. So Stastny, Shifley, Line, Wheeler, Bufflin, first power play. I mean, that speaks to me in a dirty kind of way. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That
I
is
mean,
all I've ever wanted to see.
look at Dustin Bufflin back at 6,000,
Ah,
just being the
he's good.
Corsi god now. Yeah,
He's just really
37
good.
shots.
I've always known he was good, but now he's back, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to hear. Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Truba out, Shattenkirk out. I mean, my favorite thing is looking at the Rangers defense and just putting up the big question mark on like what that is. But is there anyone on this Ranger side? Why don't we just start there because we've already kind of gone over Winnipeg. Is there anyone on this Ranger side that you're interested in?
Um, I still like Zibanejad at 5.5. This is not the matchup that I'll be going back to that well, but I think if Zibanejad stays this low, like he's the main guy on just a moribund Rangers team that I'll be looking at playing, on a pretty consistent basis. But other than that, no,
Yeah.
not,
It's
not
kind of
really.
crazy. The Rangers are only like 5 points out of the playoffs, and
Right?
they're the
Yeah,
same amount of points as the Islanders. And everyone's like, I mean, they're dead, and they are. I mean, I don't think they're gonna actually make the playoffs by any means, but
yeah.
it's kind of crazy. It's like how out of it they feel comparatively
Mhm.
to like where they are in the. Like, if the Sabres were 5 points out, I would be on pins and needles every game, freaking out about
Right.
every
Yeah.
single call.
Um,
And Rangers fans are like, "Ah, we're done. It's over."
Yeah, but like, okay, so it's kind of weird, like a bit of a tangent. We'll get to Florida in a second, but like, have you noticed that they have three less games played than everyone else in the Eastern Conference? So
Um,
like, they're literally like 4 to 5 points up on like where
well,
they stand currently, which is firmly in the playoffs. So
Boston has the
it's
same amount of games played as Florida, which is like,
okay.
because I remember my friend, they're from Boston. I have two of them, and they're like, "Why has Boston played no games?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I look, I'm like, "Actually, that's kind of surprising. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's like five less than Toronto. That's what are we doing here? That's pretty crazy. Like same with Florida at 63 total. The Sabres, it feels like they played like 70 at this point, 66, but it feels like 100 because there's God.
Right, but all right.
I don't get that either. But yeah, we can
instead
get
of instead of listing the Winnipeg side, pick 2 players that you want to stack here on the Winnipeg side.
Line A Bufflin.
Line A Buffalo, nice. Wow. I was thinking about Wheeler Bufflin, but you know what? Let's go with. Do I want to go Josh Morrissey? I really want to. Really want to.
I
But
always want to go with him.
nah. Well, I'll go with Ehlers in line A. I feel like Ehlers is kind of going under the radar, even though he's been incredible lately. Of course, 12 minutes last game. That's concerning.
Yeah, and I'm good with not touching any of the Rangers personally. I mean, I do think Zibanejad is fine, but they're still rolling 4 lines pretty decently, and none of these defensemen I feel too strongly about. So, yeah, we can move on to Vegas at Columbus, which is what everyone wants to see the Stanley Cup be, I feel like.
Columbus? William Karlsson. William Karlsson. Yeah. I got you. Took me a while, but I got
there. I mainly said it because like Columbus in the Stanley Cup would just be like the funniest thing. But they're in the wild card right now, and I mean, wouldn't it just be like if Columbus made the Stanley Cup? Like, why did that be? I think that's so funny. I don't know what it is. Just like
I guess
the Stanley Cup in Columbus, like that's just all I've ever dreamed of. But yeah, like Wild Bill returning home would be the best. But anyways, yeah, this game. What are your initial thoughts?
James Neal seems to be out for the Golden Knights, so that opens up a power play role, which seems to be filled by Thomas Tatar, his arrival, but also in the top 6, Thomas Hyka has been playing with the Haula and Perron. Like, that's a really nice role for someone to be in. Like, David Perron, for, all of his... I feel like he was a little bit maligned for being, like, not worth his contract or whatever the heck he was a couple years ago. He's at a point a game right now. He's a really good playmaker. And so at 3.2, I think Hyka, even without power play time, he's really earning the trust of Gallant. Like, Gallant's been saying a lot of good things about him. I feel like his minutes could creep up here, and for 3.2, that's kind of one of the places where I think it's worth taking a bit of a gamble on it, just because he's a really good player.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. I mean, so do you like the Vegas side over the Columbus side? Is that
not really? No,
I kind of like this Columbus side.
Yeah, I mean, like, Atkinson, Panarin, Dubois just is so underpriced. It doesn't make any sense.
That's what I was thinking too. Very, very underpriced. The defensemen, Jones and Werenski, have come down a bit. Werenski under 5K. I think that's always something I'm going to consider. And Seth Jones has just been so consistent all year. I mean, he's just really good. Like, that is a confirmed fact at this point, I'd say. So I'm interested. I mean, Vegas is susceptible to getting beat on any night and definitely can give up some decent Corsi numbers. I think Columbus, that line 1, is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's even better. Like, with Nick Foligno back, I was kind of concerned that Dubois would lose his net front power play role. In San Jose the other night, they did not do that. They played Atkinson, Panarin, Dubois with Seth Jones, and then Alex Wenberg on that unit. So that just makes a lot of sense to me that, even adding in Jones to make it a true 4-man stack, like, it's just really exciting.
I'm totally down for it.
All right.
You just want to move on to Florida, Tampa?
Yeah, I'm not really seeing much else here. So Florida, Tampa, we've got, all of the GOATs, really. Like, we mentioned a lot of GOATs, but, I mean, you want to talk GOATs, like Barkov, Trocheck, Kucherov, like, even, I guess Stamkos hasn't really been, like, a DFS monster, but he's coming off of a literal gigantic game.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, do you remember there was the Rantanen game, right? He did not crack 16, right? When he had his hat trick with like 2 assists.
It was, I feel like he only had like 4 shots on goal.
Yeah, I feel like that might be the highest score.
And we were like, oh, Michael had more. So like, it's probably wasn't there someone? I don't know. We're gonna have to look this up, but it's got to be. If not, because I think Eichel had 17.
Did he? Okay.
Because I remember because he had like 8 shots there, 7 shots on goal, along with a hat trick and an assist. But whatever, we don't have to worry about that right now. Basically, Tampa Bay should be back to pretty like these lines that you saw against Philly will be pretty similar. Except no, wait, no, right, no.
Yeah,
McDonough's not going to play till Thursday. Yes, so it's pretty similar. They did give up 6 goals as well. I think that trend could continue. I really am not in love with their defense. I think with McDonough coming in, I hope Edmund McDonough just start to get like all the minutes and Strawman, and they just kind of like.
Yeah, Hedman's been getting all the minutes already.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't hate Girardi completely. I don't think he's good. Like watching him play, I was like, oh boy, this isn't the best. But I don't think he's awful. Like he's just not great with the puck on his stick. But like I think he's always in position defensively. If that makes sense. So like from a DFS perspective, he's very bad.
Right. Yeah.
And like I don't think the way the game's going, he's going to be relevant for long. But I do see some of the value when I watch him, like playing defense. So I think that this defense is really going to come together and come into their own very shortly. But with McDonough out, I do think it's a bit shaky at best, and I do think Florida could be a decent spot to jump on. When people are like, I feel like stacking against Tampa is always somewhat a good idea, just because of how many people are just on Tampa and or off the team against Tampa, and Dadonov, Barkov, Trocheck. The boys, you know what I'm saying?
It's absurd, yeah. It's great, I think.
They're good at hockey.
Definitely. Like their prices I think still make sense. Barkov and Trocheck are playing so many minutes right now that like I would be really surprised to see Trocheck continue to be he's kind of lost his floor numbers that were like borderline ridiculous as of like 2 weeks ago. So he's cooling down a little bit in that regard. But as a team, I mean, Florida, I think, is the hottest team in the league, like last 16 games or 13-3 or something like that. So, like, Barkov, I think, is going to be not piled on. I don't think anyone will be piled on a slate like this. But at 6.9, I think that's a fair price for Barkov. I think he'll be relatively popular. So if you want to go Trocheck, I don't think I would play Huberdeau. I think the last time I said that, Huberdeau had his goal assists, like I think he had like a 7-point night or something like that. But I think the same thing holds again. Like I would much rather play Trocheck with Barkov and Yandel or something like that. But I do like all of the Florida prices here. I think they're pretty fair.
Yeah. As I kind of alluded to, Jamie McGinn with Trocheck and Huberdeau, he's not really in play in my opinion. Just kind of mentioning that as like a that's who's there type of guy. But yeah, the top guys on Florida, as always, we always mention. I really, really, really like them tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna have some Trocheck. I don't know if I'll have Yandel or not, but I think just stick Trocheck, Dadonov, and or Barkov, Dadonov, which would make more sense as a stack. Definitely consider those. I don't hate Ekblad's price, but he doesn't really get the correlation, although I don't think ever a bad play. Other than that, Tampa won. JT Miller was on the first power play as well. Did you mention that?
No, I did not catch that.
Miller, Killorn, Kucherov, Stamkos, Hedman, they only played like a little bit of time, and then Stamkos scored. So I think they only So like that was what they ran. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, they had one power play. I remember that. It was like 7-1 in terms of power plays for that game. Because I was watching it and I was like, wait, what? But yeah,
JT Miller at 4.8 is not a terrible play. He's been with Point and Gord. I think him and Point could be a very contrarian type of stack, but I think Point's price might kind of put that out of contention.
Right, yeah. I mean, both their prices, to be honest. Yanni Gord above 5,000. He's not playing with anyone.
I meant Miller.
Oh, Miller, sorry.
JT Miller at 4. Okay. Like, I think JT Miller is good. Like, you would play Nemestikov at this price, although, on the first power play, right?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Like, Nemestikov would be relatively popular. I think they also... Yeah, they're using Miller to kill penalties too. Yeah. So like, it's clear they trust him defensively.
Yeah. So yeah, You know what's kind of funny? How many ex-Rangers now are on Tampa Bay? Right? I mean,
Yeah,
Callahan, not that many, I guess. Joan, well, it's 4 or 5 with no, it's like 5.
yeah. No,
Stallman,
it's a good number.
Girardi, Callahan,
Yep.
Miller, oh my God, Kucherov, and McDonough. That's gonna be 6.
Yeah.
That's a lot of players. I mean, I
Uh,
couldn't tell you if Colburn was ever there, but maybe even.
uh,
We good
yeah.
with this
I was
game?
just looking. I was just looking. I was trying to think if anyone else was on the Rangers because guys like I don't know, Coburn was like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
but
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I think he was
feels like he's
Philly.
yeah, mainly
But
Philly.
all right. Anyways,
I'm not gonna look it up
we'll
right
move
now.
on. We'll move
We'll move
on.
on.
Dallas at Nashville. I mentioned the Roman Yossi. He's just kind of been up in the air for who knows how long.
I feel like he's always up in the air. Why is he not just always playing? I don't like
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of just like a rest thing. They're just like, "Screw it, we're not gonna risk getting you hurt." So if Roman Yossi is out, which I think we'll get confirmation sooner than we have the past couple slates, I mentioned that before. Matthias Ekholm at 4.1 has been stepping up to play that power play role, like vacated by Yossi, and he's also been playing with Ryan Ellis, which is kind of their de facto number one pair. Like Subban and Emelin is basically splitting time with them, and obviously Subban is much more expensive, as is Ellis than Ekholm. So 4.1 for Ekholm is one of the better prices I've seen, given Yossi not playing. If Yossi does play, it's just kind of a whatever price because the power play time probably won't be there. But for a Nashville team that's just been crushing lately, I could certainly see getting some cheap exposure in that matter. Um, Similarly, I guess cheaper exposure like Arvidsson and Forsberg are way down the pricing charts. So like
Yeah,
just above 6,000 on DraftKings. Like I really like Forsberg and Arvidsson both. I think we had a little scare that Arvidsson was playing on the fourth line the other day, but that did not last long, as one might suspect. And yeah, he and Forsberg I think stack up really nicely here.
yeah. No, I agree. Dallas is on a back-to-back and 3 in the last 4 days. It could
Nice.
be. It looks like they just finished up. Did they beat Ottawa?
They
No, they
lost
lost in
in
overtime.
overtime.
Um,
Carlson on a breakaway.
of course.
Was
So
sweet.
Klingberg played 30 minutes. Sagan, Radulov had 23 and 24 respectively. Um, it does look like someone was out. Who was out? Oh, Lindell was out. So we'll see about
Yes. Yep.
him. And Richie was on the first line with Ben, who also had 22 minutes himself,
Hmm.
and Sagan. I would like to see if Radulov ended up getting bumped back up though, because he had 24 minutes of
Wait,
ice time.
did you pony up for Hockey Viz?
No, I'm just looking
Oh,
at other things.
oh,
I
oh, you're
need
looking at the
to.
other things. Okay.
Once
Yeah,
I
I
have
was like, wait, are you looking at? Yeah.
once I
So
have
I
my
guess.
real,
Yeah,
then I will definitely.
I hear you.
And Bishop got hurt, correct?
Yeah, Bishop got hurt. I think he got hurt. I mean, I assume he
I mean,
did, just
he had
because he
0
left
goals
the
against
game.
and then didn't.
I didn't
Yeah.
see it. So looking at the usages from this game, um, yeah, that Richie on the first line kind of held. He played 15 minutes, which is pretty good for
Mhm.
him. He also played a little bit on the power play.
4 shots on goal.
That first power play, yep, 4 shots on goal. So it seems like that's what they're trying to do. It strikes me as a little bit strange. I think the end of game scenario kind of impacted things that, you know, they might have had a power play or something that kind of messed the lines up. But Ben Sagan, Radulov each played 23 minutes. That's obviously very good. You know, I don't see playing any of them against Nashville, but I think it goes to show that I'm not going back to the Brett Ritchie well. I didn't play him Monday night either, but I don't think he's nearly as strong a play. Obviously, on a road back to back, you know, we know about the risks associated with him. And at 15 minutes against a really strong Nashville team, I don't even think you can project him as safe for those minutes. So that's just kind of a
No.
spot where I'm uh, looking to zig, where some people might just jump on after seeing this game where he had a little bit of the, I guess, the good matchup and, or sorry, good role. I don't really see that lasting for too much longer, and this is not the matchup that I want to take that chance on,
No.
anyways. So,
I really just like Nashville won in this game.
um,
Forsberg
yeah,
and
for
maybe
sure.
defenseman. That's
Honka
definitely
only played 13 minutes,
yeah,
so
about 12 and
another
a half. Yeah,
disappointment. Yeah. All
but
right, moving on to the Carolina at Minnesota. This game is, oh my God, I am fading this game so hard.
yeah.
Were you around for that St. Louis game? Minnesota St. Louis game? That was last week, right? Last Tuesday?
Was it the one where Minnesota went off?
Yeah, Minnesota scored like 8 goals or something. It
I
was
wasn't around, but I
insane.
did watch all the highlights.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so interesting little tidbit. The going game by game on the entire season, so all 2,000 games on the season so far, expected goals at 5-on-5. Minnesota had the highest expected goals per 60 of any team in any game on the entire season. So, what's interesting about that is even with that, like pretty highly weighted due to the slight recency bump that I give the expected goals 10 game trends, they only rank sixth on the slate. Um, like one, it goes to show that Carolina's been pretty sound defensively, but two, like Minnesota's not been all that good outside of that one game. Like, yeah, Eric Stahl's been producing, but you're paying for that production through the nose at this point, 7.3. So I have next to no interest in this game. Do you have any pieces that you're looking to get a part of, like maybe some of these defensemen for Minnesota or something like that? Because I really don't see anyone that I would play at these current prices.
I mean, I really want to say no, so
Are
I'm going
you
to.
going to say Zach Parise?
No, I won't. He's fine. He's I would say he's fine, but he's not like. I mean, I don't know. He's an okay play. He's just like 5'3". I mean, I don't know what's in that range off the top of my head, but I feel like he's fine in that range, maybe. But I don't know. I don't want to stack him, and I mean, if I'm going to play GPPs, I'm going to be looking to stack. So, yeah, I mean, as a 5'3", like you might as well go Killorn at 5'2", you know. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a no from me.
All right,
And
cool.
I feel like this game's just going to be a dud for sure. I'm against it. I'm down to move on.
All right, cool. Definitely there for me too. Colorado at Chicago. Yeah, Chicago's been doing some interesting losing lately.
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
at the beginning of the year, we all would have been like, you know what, one of these teams will be battling for a playoff spot. It'll be Colorado. They're just, they're just a good team, and they're fighting. They're going to play hard. So, like,
Yep.
it's exactly what we expected coming into the beginning of March. Yeah. So Colorado they got to be the favorite in this game. It actually doesn't say. The odds aren't up. I guess they don't know who's starting in goal.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Crawford.
Well, me neither, but this is weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird that they don't. Is Colorado in a playoff spot right now? That's what I was wondering.
I think they're a solid few points out. Yeah.
1 point
Okay.
with a game in hand to LA.
Really? Okay, I did not realize they were that close.
I mean, they're good. Like I think they're not that bad. Okay, so what are our thoughts in this game? Because I don't know how much I'd have, but I'll let you go first.
All right. The main news of this weekend, though, is that the Quenneville gods have brought upon us the Taze Kane Saad line, which it's gross, especially on like a 9-game slate or whatever. But hear me out. Like Taze and Saad on the season have 2 of the top 10 highest shots for per 60 at 5-on-5 of any players in the entire NHL. Like, say what you want about like them not being a good team, Chicago, blah blah blah. That line is freaking loaded right now. Not only are they playing really well, obviously Patrick Kane adds a sick element of skill to that line that Tane and Saad, that Taze and Saad probably don't bring. But Taze is one, they play together on the power play, and Taze is 5.2. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna have to strap me to a chair to not be just jamming in at least Saad and Taze, right? Like the minutes are there for them. They're gonna be used through the nose. Like, yeah, they're gonna be used against McKinnon, but I don't know. Colorado's defense doesn't scare me at all, and it's gonna be the GPP nuts if they go off, like because they're so low owned.
No, Colorado's defense is like pretty bad right now. I'm not mad about that at all. I think Chicago is realizing if they don't get Saad going and get something going into next year, then they may have really made a very bad deal. I think they already kind of have realized that wasn't the best deal. But I
Yeah.
would definitely be considering his line tomorrow. As long as it stays together. But yeah, I like Saad and Kane even. I don't think it's crazy to go with those two. But I do think actually, you know what? You might as well go all three at that point.
Yeah, I don't. I really well. Okay, I should say I really like Patrick Kane. I don't think he's like a must play or anything, especially
No.
if you stack him. I do think an interesting three-man stack is Taze, Saad, and Seabrook
I knew
on
you were gonna say it.
defense.
I was so ready for you to
I
say
mean,
it.
there's just no
Freaking
reason
Seabrook.
that he's like a bad play.
No, no,
3.8
he's
for power
fine.
play one. Like
Honestly,
he's got the floor stats. Like
he's fine. He can play. He can be on the ice in a hockey game, and like
yeah,
that's fine.
so I think you can reasonably say that Colorado is probably going to be a slight favorite in this game. I don't even know if that'll be the case, but even if you do think that, like Chicago's offense is so concentrated here, I think this is just like the perfect DFS spot where like you have guys who have really strong numbers, uh, kind of playing together for one of the first times. It's happened before. It happened over the weekend, but like I said, I think the Tays Kane combination was like 4% on Saturday's like 5 game slate. So, um,
Yeah. And
yeah,
you know what else, Matt, about the stack that we're talking about that's really something special?
what's that, DJ?
You'd be getting two of the top 100 players in NHL history. Do you want to throw Duncan Keith in too?
I mean, you could like look at. I mean, honestly,
He's
Heath's price is so
two.
crazy too. He's 4.2.
And he has a goal.
He's got the floor stats. Like it.
I'm not
Yeah,
even mad about it. I really am like I'm not mad about playing him. I
there,
made a joke, but like he's not the worst player in
there.
the world.
Yeah, it does suck that they're on different power play units. Like if Keith, Seabrook, Kane, Saad, Taze was the power play one, I might just play all five and go just jam in, Taylor Hall and Kucherov, just whatever. But I don't know. It is fun to
Colorado
think about
defense is
though.
pretty bad right now, but like Colorado isn't terrible. Oh
It's just
man,
not
this
even
is
that,
so
but
ugly.
like who else on Chicago is gonna score? Like that's my
No
honest
one.
question. Like the
Oh my
Brink's good,
god.
but
This is
whatever.
the dumbest game ever. Okay, can we move on? Is there
One
anyone in
nothing
Colorado?
shutout.
1-0 shutout.
I
All
mean,
right.
clearly McKinnon, but you're not.
Yeah.
I don't think you're paying 7.7 like highest price on the slate for a hard matchup against. Oh my god! Look at McKinnon's game logs.
He's so good.
Are you
Why?
serious?
Why is he not on the Sabres? Why can't we just like
Seven fantasy points per game.
oh my god,
Seven.
he's so stupid good.
Just whatever.
Can
You
we
can
just
play
like
him.
get the heart? Can we just give it to him if they make the playoffs? I want him to have it. I know he's not gonna get it, but I want him to have it.
I think
He
if they make
already
the
won.
playoffs, he might.
He has my heart, that's for sure. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's like basically McKinnon or bust.
All right,
I
you
mean,
can.
you might go Barry with it, honestly.
Barry's so expensive, man.
I know. Why can't these players just stay cheap?
Yeah.
Look
So
at Barry's game log.
yeah, those block shot numbers are really nice too.
It's like
I hate this. I hate this.
I'm going
shit.
full game stat. All right, everybody.
I was
Washington-
really hoping I didn't have to say that because
I don't hate the idea of it. I really think that this is like the
yeah.
game that to just like go for broke. Goaltending isn't that great. Defense isn't that great. You're gonna put it all together right now.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
putting
you
it together
are.
right now.
I can like hear it. The wheels turning.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh
Can.
no. This is the
Yep.
dumbest. This is the dumbest podcast. It's gone off the rails.
I hate this. I hate this so much.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? I'm gonna start pulling up Anaheim players and Washington players and get back to hockey that I like.
All right. Throw in, I don't know, James Reimer.
Oh my god, why would you do? These are the things you don't do. Okay,
So
go on. What is your lineup right now?
you can actually fit something like McKinnon, Taze, Rantanen. I don't even like Rantanen all that much. He's so expensive. But
Whatever.
McKinnon,
did it.
Taze, Saad, Kane, Barry, Seabrook, Rantanen, cheap goalie like Reimer. You have enough for a min-sale player. If you take out Rantanen and go with, I don't know, something else, you can do like a mini stack here, 4.6 per player. Like,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. I love it. I love it.
All right. Well,
I love it. I
you
hate
can
it.
have. Yeah. No. It's time to move on.
All right,
It's
last game.
Anaheim, Washington, Anaheim.
Yeah.
Washington coming off of that big win in Annapolis. Correct. That's the last game.
Yeah, taking on Navy. Big game.
Yeah.
They might
Big
make
game.
the Rose Bowl now or something,
Yeah.
right?
That's the next step normally when you beat Navy is the Rose Bowl, Matt. Okay. So
Sorry, what
what
bowl
are
did Notre Dame playing this year?
um
Like the Auto Care.
no, it was like the Citrus Bowl or something. They beat LSU, which was crazy because I'm like, yeah, well, they're gonna
Yeah.
get stomped. Okay, whatever though. We can get back to
All
sports that matter because college football got rid of daily fantasy. Okay,
That is
Washington at Anaheim. Montour's price is way up since I went on vacation. Like I went on vacation and Montour did not.
you
That's
just
basically what happened.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because he didn't really have
Yeah, right.
any great games. Like it was just kind of a factor of like DraftKings realized that he was on the first power play and playing a ton of minutes now. So like I appreciate the effort. Like I don't
Yeah.
even want to click on FanDuel because he's probably like 3K there, but um
I click for you.
oh my god, he's 3.7. Shoot me. But yeah, like that price, obviously FanDuel is a really really nice price for him, but it does make sense. Like from a just the fact that he's power play one, playing basically top 4 minutes now. Like even 4.7 is fine, but this is not a matchup that I'm all that excited about personally. Um, just because I think stacking Montour with Raquel Getzlaff, it just gets really expensive. And
Mm,
there's a handful of other spots I'd much rather spend up on here. Of course, I
I
say
agree.
that, and Raquel's been like white hot recently, so whatever. But I'll be
Yeah,
fading
I
Anaheim for
think.
sure.
Yeah, I think I'll be fading this game in general as well. I'm not like so against it, but I can't imagine paying for Anaheim one against Washington. I don't really think I don't know. There's pieces in this game that I think are viable, but nothing that I feel like is really driving home with me. Is there any thoughts on maybe like Anaheim two though?
Um,
Silverberg's
yeah,
pretty
their
cheap,
prices
but
are really nice. Silverberg had a huge game last
yeah,
against Chicago, so that's a bit like one, it's nice, but two, it's also just like whatever. Um, Kind of
yeah.
shockingly, Silverberg didn't even play power play time last game. Like
Oh wow, yeah.
I don't know, Anaheim's
Interesting.
Anaheim's like I'm of two minds here because Anaheim is actually really good.
Yes.
Like never forget that. Like Anaheim is probably I think Anaheim's like the favorite to come out of the Pacific Division.
I tell all my friends that Anaheim's going to be in the cup, and they're
They're
like, "Yeah,
so
that's not
good.
going to happen." And I'm like, "Well, no one thought Nashville was going to be good, and like, I feel like like those like I think it's Anaheim. Like, I think that they're way better than the Sharks in Vegas.
Mhm.
I mean,
For
whatever.
sure, I agree.
Okay, but we could do this all night long, do the whole Anaheim thing because we're into it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we could.
anyways,
What
back to
else are we
this.
gonna do?
Is there anything in this game you want to talk about? Because I'm pretty good. I mean,
Not really. No. Do you want to just
Ovi is
pick?
Ovi. Yeah, let's pick
Yep.
players. I got to get back to homework.
All right. We can look at some stacks first. Do you
Yeah.
have any stacks that you wanna take?
I really like that Columbus one a lot.
All right.
Dubois, Panarin, Atkinson. You can throw in Jones.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think the value for Columbus and Chicago, both of those stacks, I think they make sense because you can fit another top tier stack with them if you find one or two cheap values that you like, kind of more one off plays. But like this Chicago value, especially, I think is just incredible. I won't, talk. I won't talk anymore about it. But Taze, Saad, Kane, Seabrook, I think they all make for incredibly uh, valuable plays that all have really good upside together. So
And then I really like Forsberg, Arvidsson, and one of
nice.
these defensemen, but it's kind of hard to tell right now
Yeah.
with VOC.
All right. You want
Who
a
knows?
little bit of a spicier take from me?
I'd love something.
I will go with Rick Nash, Torrey Krug, and David Backes.
That's pretty actually. I like that a lot.
It's like a power play stack. It's getting
You know,
that
I don't hate
5v5.
Boston tomorrow. I really don't hate Boston tomorrow at all. But yeah, no, that's a good way to go about it. I'm down for it.
Actually,
I also like Pasta and Krug in that same game as a
let me
stack.
Yep, good point. Let me correct myself. Back is not playing at 5-on-5 with Rick Nash. They're centering
No.
two different, or Back is centering the third line, and Rick Nash is on the Krejci line. But I certainly do think that could one that it could change, and two, either way, I think their values make sense on a pretty lethal power play for Boston. So
Finally, let's do our guaranteed goals
all
and
right,
let's get out of here.
cool. So just try not to pick guys from your aforementioned stacks. I'm going to go with Vincent Trocheck. I think he breaks the schneid, gets on the board for a Florida team that is surging. The shot numbers are down. Everything's down for him. I think this is the game where you look at it and go like, yeah, of course it wasn't going to last forever. The dude has like, I think he has like 6 blocks plus shots per game on the season. Like it's utterly ridiculous. So I like him at 6.4 to get back on the board, score me a goal.
All right. I'm going to go Line and Saad.
Nice.
I'm going to take one from yours, Sack. I really like Brandon Saad. Honestly, like he's a pretty good play tomorrow. I'm not even going to lie. I know he's been cold this year. I feel like people just aren't going to play him because he's been down this year, but I mean, I feel like this is a guy getting 20 minutes of ice time, power play 1. He's playing with 2 really talented players, and he's shooting the puck a ton. So
yeah.
Why not? He just hasn't had the goal luck. I don't think he has had one in like 8 games. So he gets
Definitely.
up, another guy to get up the snide, as you called it. I like that expression.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go
or snide.
Schneid. I don't even know what it means, but I think it's a fun little thing to say.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna go with Pierre-Luc Dubois. A little bit cheaper than I had to go, but I think that's a really nice price for a guy who's playing top line, top power play minutes in a matchup that I do like for Columbus going against Vegas. They've been playing well. That line in particular has been playing really well too. 4.3 for Pierre-Luc Dubois, who is pretty talented playing that front. I think he gets us on the board here. Kind of the Nolan Patrick-esque play. Just take a guy who we know is going to play a lot. We know he has talent, and we know he's on the first power play. So I'm going to ride that out.
All right. Well, I looked up Get Off the Schneid, and I found a couple different things. One of them is German Yiddish Schneider, which means one who cuts cloth.
So you're saying Corey Schneider is a lock on Tuesday Night Slate?
That is what I'm saying. It's not spelled.
Amazing.
I don't think it's spelled the exact same. I don't know. I don't want to try to read. It's pretty. Actually, I think it is spelled the exact same.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. He's a lock. Get off. Don't get off of that Schneid, I guess.
Nice. I like your
saves it.
All right. So I believe for Thursday's show we will count up the February listener league winner.
Oh, you said you won. Oh, you didn't count it up.
I did not even count it up. I don't think I won because I don't know if I won anything in the.
Really? Why did I feel like I saw that? Did someone do it? I don't know. Honestly, I
won the league.
I turned off GroupMe when I was on vacation, so I didn't really look at that much.
Whoa,
because
wait, I am leading in wins. How did that happen?
Well, you're leading overall. Maybe that's
overall, but
okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of though. All right, that's fine. We'll look it up. But yeah, the listener league March. It's definitely going to get going again. I don't think we've had too many big slates in March. I think there was like one the first day of March,
right? That
we definitely ran it on. So if you missed out on that one, that you're not far behind because only one person has a win. So if you want to jump in, let us know. Even if you're not in a GroupMe, we can still add you to it. It's pretty easy. Just give us your DraftKings name. I'll make sure if I make the league to add enough spots, which I've messed up twice now, I think.
Well,
one time we forgot to make the league. So I'm not even mad about that one. So yes, jump in on that. Jump in on the GroupMe. It's really fun. I'm going to actually be more active now. I tried to be today, but homeworks. I can't wait to not have college anymore. It's so in the way of my gambling.
I hear you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make the league right now. So if you're listening to this and you haven't joined the league yet, go on to DraftKings. You can join the league. If you're not a part of the league, DM us or join the group me, and then any one of us can get you into the league. So
Get off the Schneid and get into the league.
yeah, and on Twitter, you can find us at Morningscape Pod, and check out the website, morningscapepod.com. Just a reminder, if you've been interested in checking out Doug's R Guide, we talked about it a little bit on a previous podcast, and it's written up on the site. So if you're interested in learning the stats package R, be sure to check that portion of the website out. And if you have looked at it, definitely give Doug your feedback. You can find him on Twitter at Doug Levy if you want to like send him any notes, or on the group me. I know he's been asking. People have been reading through it and playing around with it, so we appreciate that feedback and so on. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. If you're interested in something on Fantasy Labs that I wrote a thing about the increase in scoring across the NHL. That's pretty cool. It's my pinned tweet on Twitter, so if you haven't read that, would appreciate you reading that, just because it's a really cool kind of story that's gone on around the league that has some DFS implications that I point out. So that's all for plugs. Anything else to say, DJ, before we sign off?
Go Bonnies.
Go Bonnies indeed. All right, so from Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.